So my name's Steve Newson. I currently am the Vice President of Systems Engineering globally at Vocera. And my team are systems engineers that are out in the field supporting our customers and our sales team in the design functionality of the Vocera platform and our mobile applications.
Very good, thank you. Let's start off with a quick description of the short project that we did for you and your team.
Yeah, so looking back, we had a need to enhance a user experience of sending alerts and alarms via the Vocera platform to our mobile applications. The mobile applications were always on the screen, so the end user would always be able to see the alarm being delivered and the alert and the workflow, but they never really saw or imagined where that alert and alarm came from. So at the Vocera HQ, we have a physical experience center which has hospital equipment, a hospital bed, dummy patients, etc., which you can interact with the physical hardware and it will generate alerts and alarms. So the project that we worked with you on was a virtualization of that room. So we could actually take the virtual experience of a hospital room and the patient in a bed with all of the physical equipment that surrounds the patient, and then show how those interactions, events around the patient, alerts and alarms, etc., that are generated are delivered into the Vocera platform and then onto the Vocera applications and all the workflows that take place around that, meaning texting, voice communication from nurse to doctor, etc.
Very good, thank you. So why did you decide to work with Synerzip? Did you have any options to get this project done locally with your team or any other partner?
Yeah, so I reached out to our VP of Engineering, Arun Merchandani, and Arun was already leveraging Synerzip for working on some of our UI work in some of our platform projects that were running at the time. And he had great things to say about the work that was being done, how agile and how quick you guys are executing on code and the quality of the code, which is the most important thing for it. So I asked if I could get an introduction, and we met, and the rest has been history. It's been an amazing experience that the work we've completed.
Fantastic, thank you. So what is your experience working with Synerzip after you started engaging with the project?
Well, first, I think the first thing that struck me was that after I wrote up the product requirements and what the application I wanted built and how it would interact, and since it was a virtualization of a hospital room, I pulled together some rough sketches. The first draft that came back of the actual room that was generated in CGI just kind of blew me away. The Gurav and the rest of the team had anticipated more than I would ever expected about the hospital environment, and had already built into the platform the first round of development that we saw. A lot of the features that really struck me a little bit later that I would probably been asking for. So the forward-thinking piece of it was really great.
Very nice, very good. So besides interacting with your team, your project team at Synerzip, how do you think Synerzip is different?
I think the breadth and depth of technical abilities that were brought to the table. This was heavy into graphics. It was heavy into three-dimensional graphics and animation, coupled with various different web technologies that connected into the back end of our platform. So when I had the first meetings and discussions, it was around, well, I need really fancy graphics here. Is that something that is core to the Synerzip technologies that they support? And it was great. They have a UX team. They brought other people into the table, and like I say, they just exceeded my expectations on the product that they built.
Did you think Synerzip is capable of doing UX design work, because your simulation project is very high on user experience, user design? What do you think about handing over such an important piece of the project to an offshore partner like Synerzip?
Yeah, I most certainly think they do have all the skill sets that were needed. I will like say I was very impressed with the level of detail, but the forward thinkingness around some of the scenarios that we had asked for, and now they enhanced those scenarios. They also, being a global company, have taken into consideration all the localization that takes place as well, so that my teams in Australia, EMEA, and the UK could map all of the workflows very easily to their regions, with different date formats, with some of the dialect that was being presented on the screen, etc. There. So I was really happy, not only initially just from the technology side that of the work that became highly recommended from our VP of Engineering, but the UI side and the user experience side of it was equally matched to the engineering prowess that Synerzip brought to the table.
Very good. Last question about the process. How involved were you in this project as it was evolving, and what was your experience interacting with the Synerzip team?
Yeah, I had a small team working on this. There was four people from the Vocera side. We kicked off after the product requirements. Our phase 1 product was some concept work that we did on the back end technology to make sure we could make some connections, and that the technology was going to be functional enough for what we needed. And then once we got through that phase 1, we moved into regular 2-week phases of develop, test on the QA side at Synerzip, deploy to us, and we would do a review test as well. That was the nice thing. I got code every 2 weeks. I got to work on it, and I also got a list of, okay, this piece is under development still. This is not fully. This piece is fully baked, etc. So it was a great collaboration between the two companies on this project.
On a 2-week basis, were you seeing any demos or updates? You mentioned code updates, but were you also seeing the team showing you demo?
Yeah, we did a Friday morning, 8 o'clock. Again, I'm on the East Coast, and people are on the West Coast, and then in Pune, India as well. So it was we all meshed together, and then we'd do I would say it's a stand-up Scrum event, but it was an hour event of let's show the code, let's do this, let's talk about any enhancements we needed, etc. Now it was a really good experience.
We enjoyed working with you and your team, Steve. I really want to thank you for your time, and we really appreciate your wonderful feedback about Synerzip and our team.
Well, thank you very much.